Every damn day.
Hey everyone, it's Jerry at the Fledge, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 91, sort of. And today we've got Julia Miller with Punks with Lunch, and we're going to talk about recovery and harm reduction and a special anniversary that we have going on today. And how you doing today, Julia?
Doing good.
Yeah?
Doing good.
So tell us a little bit about you, like where you were born, born and raised or whatever, and anything you want to tell us that kind of leads you to how you got involved with Punks with Lunch.
Okay. I was born and raised here on the east side in the mid 70s, and grew up here on the east side. Family is, kind of typical family. Dad worked at GM, mom stayed at home. Mom, until they split up, and mom went to work at MSU and went to college. And raised with two of my older siblings, and the other siblings were raised by their biological mother and family. So we grew up kind of the stereotypical 70s, 80s family, for the most part, with some weirdness going on of, both my parents had issues with substance use, and unbeknownst to me, early on, I was born, with a diagnosis of cerebral palsy and had surgeries that I had to have, and, physical therapy, and wore braces on my legs, and had issues regarding the cerebral palsy that affects the right side of my body, and went through that in a young age. From there, I don't know as far as like if it's something that I was born with or if it was from situations that occurred growing up that I didn't know at the time what it was, but started like having issues with depression and anxiety and mental health issues at a very young age that at the time I didn't know what it was. I didn't know. I knew that something wasn't right. But I didn't know how to address it. I didn't know, why I felt the way I did. I just knew that I was incredibly emotional and incredibly distraught, and I overthought everything. I was an overthinker, and I would I wouldn't be able to sleep at night because I was having anxiety and didn't know how to address it and cope with it. So at a very young age, I would say probably 8, 9 years old even, I was going into the medicine cabinet and taking cold meds and taking whatever it was I could take to knock myself out at night, or take what I needed to take in the morning time to wake myself up and get myself through the day. So at a very young age, like I said, I was doing what I felt like I had to do to make it so that I could sleep at night and function through the day. But I was essentially paving the way at an early age for to become a self-medicated addict, using cold meds.
How you keep saying an early age? Is that 7 or is that 12 or is it?
I can remember being like 8, 9, 10 years old.
When you
was completely unbeknownst to my family. Like they probably didn't know. To my knowledge, they didn't know I was doing this until now.
Until today.
Until today.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Big news.
With your treatment for cerebral palsy, was there any meds involved with that, or was it all physical treatment?
I don't recall ever taking pain meds for it. I had surgeries and I had physical therapy. I wore braces on my legs. I went to a couple different special needs schools that were specifically for people who had physical disabilities. I remember being very jealous as a kid because some of the other kids were in wheelchairs and I didn't need a wheelchair, and I thought it was cool that they got to roll around and I didn't, I had braces on my legs, but I didn't require a chair. And at an early age, I don't remember this specifically, but my mom told me that because all the kids I knew that were older than me, my older siblings and neighborhood kids, they were all able-bodied there, and all the kids that were my age that I went to school with had a disability of some form. So I thought that cerebral palsy was something I would grow out of because I didn't see older kids who were like me. So because of the cerebral palsy only affecting my physical form, and I was testing at a average or above level grade level for kids my age, they mainstreamed me into school, and so I could go to school with other kids and see that that there were kids my age who weren't disabled, and that so I could kind of learn that this isn't something I'm going to grow out of. It's I'm stuck with it for life.
Well, I don't know what the right phrases here are, but you certainly are able-bodied right now because I've seen how hard you work and how much you do. And I didn't know anything about this until you told me recently, actually, that you had cerebral palsy. I never noticed it. I don't know if that's good or bad or not. But
I guess it's good. I mean, it's weird. Like I have all the time people who they'll see me walking and they'll notice I have a limp and they'll ask me, "Oh, did you hurt your foot?" And I'm like, it's been like this since 1974. It's been like this since the day I was born, and like it's so like no. I mean, yes, I do have physical pain. It does. I think it's progressive. Cerebral palsy isn't a progressive disability, but I think in some ways it is, because as I'm getting older, I'm noticing that I have more problems with my hips, more problems with my ankles, more problems with that, because I think I overcompensated. I have like a good leg and a bad leg because I overcompensated and utilized my good leg so much that it's caused wear and tear and damage on that part of my body that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't had the problems with the other leg. So
all right,
yeah,
let's go back to the journey towards Punks with Lunch. So sneaking in the medicine cabinet and helping you sleep and all of that, what goes on to happen?
I mean, beyond that, I think that already started kind of the habit of that pills could help make me feel better or help me to function, and from there I was still going on with a undiagnosed at that time anxiety, depression issues, and I feel like same as a lot of teenagers and early adult people who are and maybe my story is fairly normal of you go into teenage years and you're experimenting, you're testing out other substances and drinking and smoking pot and moving on to other drugs. And I started drinking at a pretty early age. I think I was anywhere between the ages of like 12 and 14 when I started drinking, and I didn't immediately I wasn't like heavy duty drinker at 12 years old or anything like that, but it did start at that age. And then by the time I was 16, it was a pretty much consistent, that's what you did on the weekends. That's what you did when you had the free time, and moved on from alcohol, pot, into early adulthood, other substances, moving into harder drugs, moving into coke and speed and that was, the teenage years.
Did you feel like you were different? So a lot of teenagers will experiment,
Mhm.
right, and drink on the weekends and have these high school parties. Did you feel like you were just part of that, or did you feel like you were different from that?
I mean, at that time, I felt like I was just part of that. But looking back, I can tell you that what I was doing was I was self-medicating. I was, I was coping. I was, doing what I felt I had to do to make me feel like I belonged, make me feel better, make me feel like I was, could go out and have conversations with people and be around other people, because I was so incredibly shy. I was so incredibly nervous. I was so I when I was younger, I would sit up in my room and write stories and type, and I didn't interact with a lot of other people because I just had so much anxiety and pressure of like not knowing how to communicate with people. Just major anxiety. And so I mean, for the teenagers, yeah, I think it was just part of it was just being a teen, but a lot of it was just me self-medicating. I don't know how far more you want me to go as far as into the
as far
adulthood.
as you want to go.
Okay. I mean, into adulthood years, or early adulthood years, I mean, I had an injury that happened when I believe I was 19, that I was working at a grocery store and I had a bunch of rock salt bags fall on my back that I was moving, and that caused a back injury that I went to the hospital for, and went to my general practitioner doctor too, my family doctor, who prescribed me lots and lots of pain meds. And that opened up the door to a whole new addiction of prescription pills. That was kind of like a lot of people's stories of, well, this is something that's safe and okay because my doctor's giving this to me.
Yeah, we were at that black balloon event together the other day, and I think they said 3 out of 4 opioid addictions start with prescribed medication, and that, I don't know, it's just, they're evil. The pharmaceuticals, the doctors, they got, maybe not the doctors so much as we learned, but
I don't know if I want to blame my doctor, because he had been my doctor since I was a kid, and I think he probably felt like he was doing the right thing, and maybe not. I don't know. Maybe he was just an old doctor who was ready to retire and just didn't care. I don't know, but he gave me pretty much an open prescription to whatever pain meds I wanted for as long as I wanted, well after the pain had subsided from the injury that I had occurred. And from there, that progressed into, I was very much a I'll try anything once type person. And, like it progressed from, pain meds to more pain meds to, I've done heroin, I've done coke, I've done meth, I've done anything that was put out in front of me, I would gladly do.
So now you lead a really impactful organization called Punks with Lunch Lansing. Tell us the story of that.
Okay.
And we'll loop back a little bit more into your years.
Because of the history I've had with my own mental health issues, my own substance abuse issues, that, and with the friends I've had, the community I've had of having people who have substance use issues, when I discovered Punks with Lunch, the main group that started out in California, and saw what they were doing for people who were using drugs and providing Narcan, providing safe use supplies, providing education for people. that really impacted me, that there were people out there who were helping other people who were still in active use be safe and to get education and to get help towards, treatment and working through harm reduction to help other people. And there's plenty of groups in Lansing that provide food. There's plenty of organizations. I was told a long time ago by a friend of mine who at the time was homeless. He said that you'll never go hungry in Lansing because there's so many organizations that provide food. You might have to go to a church and listen to a sermon to get the food, but you'll never go hungry in Lansing because there's always some form of food service in the area. But what was missing was harm reduction. And I wanted to combine the two. I saw that that's what Punks with Lunch was doing. So we wanted to start a chapter here because I wanted to combine the service of harm reduction along with the service of food and hygiene supplies and all the supplies that we distribute to people who are either unsheltered or at risk or just the general population who are in need. And wanting to provide that education of harm reduction and keeping people safe.
Well, would you mind taking a pause and telling us what harm reduction means for anybody that might not have heard the phrase or they're not quite sure what it is? Or
So harm reduction is basically meeting a person where they're at, and that's an old adage basically, but it's essentially helping people to be safe. And even if the activities that they're engaging in are not activities that are generally acceptable, we accept that people are going to do the things that they're going to do no matter what other people think. It's up to them to decide when and if they're ready to make those changes in their life. And it's up to them to make that call while they are still, whether that be using substances or what, while they're engaging in those activities, we want them to be as safe as possible so that they don't have further harm in their life. And by that means, having the education, having the tools to be able to be safe. That means, having clean needles so that people aren't sharing needles and people aren't, helping or, causing the spread of other illnesses or HIV or Hep C or, so that people have, clean syringes so that if you're an injectable drug user, if you're using the syringe multiple times, that can cause wear and tear on your body and can cause infections. And, people can die from sepsis from reusing tools, either reusing a tool multiple times or reusing a tool that somebody else has already used, whether it be needles, cottons, cookers. We want people to have access to clean supplies so that it's lessening the risk of infection. It's lessening the risk of HIV, Hep C, so that that their bodies are as healthy and as safe as can be. And that when and if they decide that they are ready to go into a treatment program or to stop, that their bodies are as healthy as possible so that they haven't lost a limb. They are not struggling with having to take 8 million pills a day because they are sick with another disease. That's basically what it is hoping that we can keep people as healthy as possible.
When my daughter died, and she died of a fentanyl overdose, and we learned a lot more about harm reduction after that fact than before the fact. And what shocked me was the resistance to that, because there's so many organizations that are still Nancy Reagan, say no to drugs, abstinence, all of that. What are some things that have surprised you? Have you seen that? And if so, can you tell us a couple of surprising things?
I've seen that. I hear all the time when people are like, well, they just shouldn't use drugs or they should just quit. And I feel like everybody has something in their life that they that they love, that they enjoy, that they don't want to quit. And that's like telling somebody, well, why don't you quit eating Oreos? Why don't you quit breathing? It's just, for people who are, chaotically using substances, that's just like eating or breathing to them. They aren't ready or willing to stop. And it's, in a lot of cases, it's what's helping them to be as functional as they currently are, because a lot of, like we said, a lot of the addictions start from an injury, from self-medication, from just getting by and maintaining your own existence the best way you can. And so it's really hard to just stop doing the thing that is in some ways the only thing that's working for you to keep you feeling functional. And yeah, we'd love it if it was just that easy to just stop, but it's not. And while people are not ready to stop, we want them to be safe.
Yeah. So what the example you used of breathing, I want to those are the same mechanisms in your mind that keep you alive, right? They keep you breathing, they keep you eating, they keep you looking for basically the dopamines. And the dopamines, we all have them. We all feel good because of something we do or something we take. And those dopamines remind us of what we need. And addiction kind of puts its place in there, and it the opioids sneak into that, or the cocaine, or whatever it is.
And it's your body telling you that you need that item.
Right. And we had a conversation the other day talking about rational thought and how it's a spectrum where some people on this side of the spectrum are going to say, well, that's not rational that you would use a drug because it's obviously going to hurt you. But on the other side, it's a very rational thing because we all do stuff to make us feel better. That's why we use, right?
Yeah. And we all do something. We all do, we eat our favorite foods. We do whatever hobby it is that we're really into. We do drugs.
So, what are we forgetting to talk about? I think we're covering things, and you're doing great. Anxiety hasn't gone away, has it?
No, it has not gone away.
And you are doing great.
It has not gone away. I don't think it'll ever go away. I just think, I've moved on from self-medicating and realizing that, after years of doing that and, finally going into treatment and therapy of finding out more about myself and finding out about more of what makes me tick and what triggers me, what causes things to, causes me to shut down or to freak out, that I can have a better control of these things. And that slowly but surely, I started removing substances from my life, and it was not, in the beginning, it wasn't necessarily like, I'm going to stop. It just became a thing of like, I'm going to stop doing this thing. I'm going to stop doing this. And, those substances became less important in my life as I was focusing on other things, so once my, at 19, 20 years old, I lost my apartment I was living in. I had to move back home with mom. I lost the job that I had. I, stopped using the painkillers. I stopped using the heroin. I went through a party phase in my 20s and early 30s even. I was still doing coke. I was still drinking. I was still, doing some, substances. But, within the last I'm not sure how many years. I'd say probably about 2009-ish. I started removing other substances from my life, and those took less importance to me. And so then it just became a thing of being a heavy drinker, and I was still drinking excessively. And I tried to hide it very well. I tried to still be functioning and going to work and doing everything I had to do, but I did realize that it was causing more and more strain on my life, that I was having more and more issues to hiding it. I think a lot of it had to do with COVID, that the depression and stress and strain that had on all of us, that it became easier and easier to 5 o'clock got earlier and earlier in the day for me. That the day drinking became easier to do, and then it would just last all night. And it got to the point that I was having a hard time, making it through work. I was having a hard time making it through all my responsibilities that I had to do, and I was trying to maintain this organization, Punks with Lunch, and not meeting my responsibilities, not meeting my expectations that I had, and that something had to go. I finally got to a breaking point. I finally got to a point that this is something I have to do to, because otherwise I'm going to destroy my life. And so I decided that it was time to stop drinking.
So you brought something today, and you're giving me a great honor, and I don't feel like I deserve it, but thank you for doing this. You have your 1-year anniversary today of not drinking, and there's your coin, and I think you can take it out of the plastic now.
I can take it out of the plastic now.
Is that coin, it's just a coin, but it's not just a coin, right?
Not just a coin.
Tell us about this. Tell us what it means to you.
So this is a coin that is specific to my recovery group, called the Sunny Bunnies. They are an online community that was created about a year and a half ago. I believe the first online meeting was Thanksgiving of 2020. And they're a group of people who are fans of the band Ween. And they're based off of what's called yellow balloon groups. Yellow balloon groups are recovery groups that go to shows and go to concerts and host a table that's basically like a sober table, where people who are in recovery or people who are interested in recovery options can go to that table and have a safe space where people can, where you're going to have like-minded people who are also in recovery. Because you're at a show, you're at, most shows are at bars or at venues. There's alcohol going on. There's, I have no idea how many concerts and how many shows I've been to where I was just completely plastered. I know that I saw Nirvana in, 1994, 1993, but I barely remember being there because I was so wasted. And I have so many shows like that I know I was there, but do I really remember being there? So, for people who still want to participate in, festivals and shows and concerts and want to have a safety net of people who are there for support and recovery, that's what the yellow balloon groups are for. And the Sunny Bunnies are specific for the band Ween. I discovered them about a year and a half ago. Before I decided to stop drinking, a friend of mine told me that this group was being created, and I said I want in, because I was pre-contemplative at that time. I was thinking about quitting, but I wasn't quite there yet. But I knew that I needed some kind of support that wasn't just your basic 12-step group. Yeah. So the Sunny Bunnies are a radically inclusive group that accepts, as long as you're a fan of wean, basically. It doesn't matter what substance you're using. It doesn't matter where you are in your recovery. You're accepted. And, you can use any pathway to recovery. It doesn't matter if you're using 12-Step Smart or if, the Sunny Bunny groups are the only ones you're using as a support group. They are this awesome, amazing community of people that we meet there's 3 meetings a week, and we meet online on Zoom and talk about our shit for an hour each, 3 times a week. And
that table is so important. I often talk to people about, how people lapse or relapse.
Mhm.
And I use Roma Bakery. You ever walk in Roma Bakery and you smell that bread baking? I don't know if you like that
yeah.
smell, but I love that smell, and it makes your mouth water, and it makes you just want bread, right? And so much of addiction or substance use follows a pattern like that. When you get in that familiar environment with those familiar people around you that you've used with before, your mouth just starts watering.
Mhm.
Even if you've been sober for 20 years, it can happen. And sounds like a really, really good idea. We need more of this.
I wish there were more bands that did. It's not the band didn't do it. It's fans of the band that created it. And there are other, there's the War Frats for Grateful Dead. There's Fellowship for Fish. There, Widespread Panic has a group. But I think that this could be something that could be used for any genre of music, any band. Especially touring bands where you have a large fan base of people who might be chaotic drug users or drinkers or people who are in recovery but still want to enjoy the scene and enjoy the show. And I went to a Ween show 2 weeks ago in Detroit, and I hosted the Sunny Bunny table and was there to pass out information. We gave out Narcan, we gave out fentanyl test strips, we gave out information about our group and when we meet, and we met a lot of people who are in recovery who were very happy to see us there. We met some people who were thinking about it, and just giving them advice and support for recovery.
Well, I want to show you a couple of things. Well, Megan first started and said that she loved you, and Francis said hi, but congratulations, Julia. You are amazing. And I think, there's a lot of people in the community who feel that way about you and Punks with Lunch and everything that you do. We love you so much. And I usually ask someone, what advice they can give people at the end. But what if you read what's on that coin for us, or that quote?
Okay, so on the one side, it's got a picture of Boognish, who, for Ween fans, they'll know who he is. It says 1 year of recovery on there, and it says, if you could save yourself, you'd save us all. On the other side, it's got the Sunny Bunny Recovery logo on it, and it says, it's a quote from the song The Argus, which is a Ween song. And it says, will the God I grant his forgiveness and allow he that's lived a reason to see. And that's 2 lines of the Argus passage, which is kind of like our version of the Serenity Prayer. The first line is that it is about practicing compassion. So I talk about that a lot, of practicing compassion.
Compassion goes a long ways. Grace, people will call it sometimes too, and understanding and loving our community, right?
Exactly.
So, do you want to take us out with anything else?
I like to say to all people that, no matter where you're at in your life, no matter what you're doing, no matter how bad you think things are, no matter how bad you think you might be, I tell people, we love you and we're here to support you. No matter who you are, no matter what you've done.
Thank you so much, Julia.
Thanks.
This was a great show. I really appreciate it. And
I'm glad I could be here.
Congratulations again.
Thanks.
We're really proud of you. We love you all. Show compassion for each other. And Claire and Liam, we love you. And we're here. Have a great day.